Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talk About It Tuesday. My name is Alexandra. I will be your host for today, and I am joined by the amazing, the glorious Gaby. Gaby, hello.
Hello, Alex. How are you?
I am good. How are you doing today?
Great. It's Monday and it's a new week. So I'm excited.
Right? New week, new possibilities.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
For those of you who don't know, I am from Caracas, Venezuela, born and raised. Lived there until I was like 22 years old, went to college for graphic design and business administration over there. It was a whole different life. Then I moved to London for a year and I saw Wicked and I was like, bro, I want to do that. I don't want to do this anymore. So I decided to switch gears and also move to Miami because the weather is much better than London. I just started over looking for a career in theater and musical theater. And long story short, I'm doing it. I got my MFA at FAU about 4 years ago already. Oh my gosh, no, it can't be, like 3 years. And I've been working ever since, doing some TV stuff, doing a lot of theater stuff, fortunately. So that's me.
Nice.
That's in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. Oh yes. In a nutshell. Yeah, you've done a lot. I remember the first time I met you was at NSU. Yeah. We were doing the Broadway Bash.
Yeah.
And there was this, everyone kind of comes into a rehearsal with different personalities. And when I first met you, you were just so happy. Like, you were just so happy to be there. And I was like, oh, thank goodness there's someone who's like this little spark of light.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just so happy to be there because that was still when I was transitioning from like a career in like visual arts to like performing arts. So I was going to grad school for interdisciplinary arts education over there, which was a great program. But it wasn't a practical theater program. And I remember walking into like that rehearsal room and just that black box and everybody, like you said, everybody was so eclectic in their own like performing arts personalities. I was like, I'm home. Yeah.
No, that was awesome. You're so easy to work with. That you're a yes person, you're a, I'll do this, I'll try it, let's see how it goes. You're not like, you never hold off an idea or hold back, which is great for me with improv. So I was like, oh yeah, this is nice. This is so great to work with and easy to work with. So it's amazing. And you've been doing amazing things since you left Nova. You're constantly working.
I have been having a lot of fun and even with the pandemic, it's been like kind of a little bit of a blessing in disguise in the sense that, obviously it's devastating that every single live event in the whole of humanity has been canceled for almost a year because we're going in 2 weeks, it'll be the COVID-versary of
March.
Just like you guys transitioning to YouTube and like a virtual platform, everybody, we are artists and we've managed to figure it out and transition to different platforms and keep theater and musical theater alive, because even though it's still not TV, what we're doing. And I know I'm sure everyone has seen the 1,000 Zoom readings that have been going on, which are not, obviously it's never the same as a stage reading, but it's work that's being workshopped. It's playwrights getting to hear their words read out loud, getting feedback from the audience. So many like virtual shows have gotten, like the production value of virtual shows has like amplified from like, I remember like March where even like, I don't know, like ABC Sings or something was doing something on TV and you were like, the production value of this is kind of like crappy. And now you're seeing like at home, like self-produced shows by anyone that are like 10 times more amazing than that in terms of sound. I mean, like, before we started this interview, we were just talking about our equipment, right? You can see mine, I can see yours. Like everybody has invested in like, well, I mean, the ring light market. I mean, I don't know if they're like public in like the stock market, but like stock for ring lights must be like off the charts.
The production value that people didn't realize they could have at home has become much more recognized, because before this there were people who were making short films, there was virtual TV prior to this of indie artists and creators that just had a whole web series rather than something on Netflix or Hulu or whatever that had the same production value as something you would see on ABC, Fox, and stuff like that. So I think it's awesome, and you're right, it was kind of a blessing in disguise to be able to go virtual, because we've connected with so many people from across the world.
That's the other thing
that you wouldn't have been able to.
Boundaries have been redefined, especially like I have been thrilled that for the last 6 months I've been working with my friends from the West End, that when I lived in London and I saw Wicked and all that shenanigans, I made friends who are now like awesome like West End theater artists, and we've been producing work for the past 6 months. And then I did a show with Theater Lab that was all about well, it was about Vanessa Garcia, the playwright's life, but it was very strongly, it called for a Latino director and a Latino cast and all of that. And we were able to work with, I mean, our director, Dr. Patrice Anon, like she's in San Diego, but we're able to collaborate, and it's so exciting in its own way.
It's amazing. It's amazing the potential that people have revealed through this.
Absolutely.
And I feel like people have become a lot more welcoming and sharing how they're doing things, in a sense, because there is that side of the arts that's like, oh, well, I don't know if I should tell people how I do this, you know, because what if that happens? And now it's just like, oh no, let's do it. Let's go together. Let's do this together, because we need each other.
100%. I mean, I know, and this is I think it's one of those things that we hadn't questioned because that it's the way it had always been done, in the sense of like, you know, we're taught as like, don't tell everyone your secrets. Like you're competing with people all the time, as opposed to, which I think millennials, we don't think in that mode necessarily. And to finally be in a space where it's like, oh, we can absolutely blurt out our secrets to anyone and just collaborate creatively with people who would be like, quote unquote, like our competition. Like, no, that's just amazing. And it feels so good.
I know.
I think art is better.
Yeah.
Right? No, totally. And it's better for it, because instead of it being like one person, instead of us competing, we're like merging and creating something even bigger and bolder.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I feel like that's from the improv background. It's easy for us to say like, oh yeah, let's work with everyone, but you know, we're not completely scripted actors. And I've been doing scripted acting and stuff like that for years. So transitioning from that to improvisation was a whole new world of
course,
free love, and let's just create and let's be ourselves. It's fine. We're going to get through it together. I've got your back. You've got mine. And I was like, oh my gosh, they should show this more, because I experienced that at Nova. At Nova, they really taught that. So when going into the real world of like secrets, I was like, oh no, we don't do this here.
It doesn't feel right. And honestly, like, well, obviously in improv you have to, because you're such an ensemble. You rely on your scene partner unpredictably to the, whereas if something's scripted, well, I mean, if you learned your stuff, I learned my stuff, fine. Maybe we don't love each other, but we will figure it out. Whereas in improv, you have to have that trust and that ensemble building. And I agree. I felt that at Nova. I felt that at FAU. I wish, I'm not saying that it's not present out there in the real world. Obviously, there's some like beautiful theater artists that I love, like my sisters, because again, we're all open to sharing and being truthful about our hardships, because this is freaking hard, man.
It is hard.
But I will say, I am a huge admirer of improv as an art, and I like, because English is not my first language, I'm terrible at it.
No.
So when I see people do it well, I'm like, that is like, it's one of those things that, you know, typical, like when you finish a scripted play and the audience comes out and they're like, how did you learn all your lines and all of that? And I'm like, that's how I feel after watching like an improv performance. I'm like, how did you figure it out in the moment? Like, that's amazing.
It's very simple. It's called no shame. And then the dignity just kind of gets left in the car. And then you walk on stage and go, all right, let's just do this.
Okay, I can get on board with the no shame.
No shame, that's it. So you've actually done some work. I was so happy you posted about being on the ensemble of Mrs. Maisel, and I love Mrs. Maisel. So how was that experience going into, because you know you do a lot of theater, so how was it going into the film aspect of things?
Well, that was kind of a dream come true on so many levels. Like 11-year-old me, who after watching Titanic decided that she was going to be an actor just so she could meet Leo DiCaprio. Definitely.
As we all do. I
mean, I knew they were coming. I knew they were in town, and I had applied to be an extra because I was like, I'm not missing out on this opportunity. Mrs. Maisel is like my favorite show. I can't not be a part of it. And then I got the call from my agent, and she was like, Gaby, there's this audition like for this show. I don't know if you know it. It's called The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And I'm driving. I remember I was on I-75, and I was like, you're on the freeway. Just don't freak out. Like, don't freak out. And she was like, do you know it? Do you know the style? And I was like, yes, I know it. I know the style. Yes, by all means, I would definitely want to audition for that. So I got the audition it was a Monday. And I think it was like around noon. I woke up like at 6 a.m. to like do my hair, do my makeup, do the whole thing. I had gotten my scripts. I was auditioning for 2 characters, and like I was walking all around, like all over the house, just speaking the lines, like welcome to the Fountain Blue, welcome to the Fountain Blue. I would like make dinner, like welcome to the Fountain Blue. And then I walked into the audition room, and this was the Monday after Measure for Measure's In the Heights auditions. And in the audition room was, I ran into a friend of mine who was also at the In the Heights auditions, and we were talking about the dance call and like, oh my gosh, I'm so sore from dancing so much. And I remember Lori came out, and this is where the cultural shock of screen versus stage hit me, because Lori was like, please be quiet in the audition room. People are preparing. You need to be focused. Like, I mean, and I totally get where she's coming from. Right. I was just entirely caught off guard.
That's a bit of a culture shock, right?
You're like, well, you've been there. I mean, any theater audition, like the fun part is being in the waiting room where everyone's just like talking and hanging out, and like that's where we connect. Yeah. So yeah, that was definitely a little cultural shock in terms of that transition. And then auditioning for her, I made the biggest rookie mistake ever, which was that I didn't print my sides. So because I didn't print them, I didn't realize that, because the second to last page like ended like at the top of the page. So I didn't realize there was a whole extra page I completely missed. And of course, Lori, I mean, I had already strike one was in the waiting room. This was strike two. And she was still so lovely. She was like, I'm gonna let you step. I mean, she let me have it because I deserved it. But then she was like, I'm gonna let you go into the waiting room, learn these lines, and come back in, which I did. Obviously, it wasn't my best work because I learned it in 10 minutes.
You were flustered, yeah.
But it was, I think, it was such a huge learning experience, and I value it. I value the opportunity so much that she gave me that shot. And even like, obviously I walked out of that audition, like I called my dad crying, like, Dad, I just made a fool of myself in front of the biggest casting agent in all of South Florida. And then 10 days later, I got the call that I got it. And I was like, how is this even possible? I mean, I got the greeter. I didn't get the scene that I messed up. That's the one I didn't get, but that's fine because I got the other one anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the whole experience was just magical. I mean, I was called at like 4:30 in the morning. I had to be like in a parking lot across from the Fontainebleau, where we all had our trailers, individual trailers for each featured actor. And I remember like everybody had to cut their hair. If you're gonna be an extra, you had to cut your hair. And they didn't ask me to cut my hair for this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I made it, guys. I've arrived. I don't have to cut my hair for this.
It's so true. That's a thought process.
Yeah, like I've arrived. I can be in Mrs. Maisel with long hair. They called me in. Well, before that was like the costume fitting. The costume fitting was 2 days before in this huge warehouse, like with like thousands and thousands of the period magic that we see on Mrs. Maisel. And I got to try out like at least 6 different stunning dresses. I remember the one that I ended up using for the show, like their attention to detail goes above and beyond. Like I remember trying it on, and this was before COVID. They gave me like garments that like undergarments, like protective undergarments, so that what I was wearing, like I wouldn't have like direct contact with it, or like the shoes. We had like specific little socks to try on every pair of shoes. I remember putting on the dress and I thought like, okay, this fits perfectly. And she was like, no, we have to alter this and this and this and this and this. And I was like, okay, I trust you. And
don't question the seamstress.
I mean, obviously, I'm like, you're an Emmy Award winner. I do not question anything you do, ma'am. And then the day of, so they called me like, okay, you're called for hair. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I'm like doing my hair, and then suddenly I turn around and I hear this loud person next to me. I turn around and it's Alex Bornstein. Like, she was in the dressing room with me. She was getting her hair done. And I was like, be cool.
I know.
Like, you're my colleague. And the same with Rachel, like, and Rachel was super sweet. Like, she came up to me and she was like, hi, I'm Rachel, so nice to meet you, glad to be working with you today. So yeah, I will say it was the middle of June, outdoors in South Florida. The scene, I don't think the scene is over 5 minutes, and it took us, we started rehearsing at 7:30, we started filming at 8:30, and we weren't done with that scene until 2, without a break, without a bathroom break, like without anything, like non-stop in the heat and everything. And that's when that was the other cultural shock, because even when you work non-equity down here, we're very good at following like equity breaks. So when those 90 minutes were up and I really needed to pee, and I had like a girdle over tights over a skirt, I was like, well, really need to pee. And that didn't happen. So that was another moment where I wasn't ready for that transition.
Yeah.
Another one was the fact that even though we didn't get bathroom breaks, every time anyone would say cut, every time we would cut, I would get 3 people. One would take off my shoes and put some flip-flops, like put some sandals on me.
Oh, the sliders?
Yes. The other one would fix my hair. The other one would fix my makeup, and like one would fan me with a script. I was like, like I am just a human. Like, how do I deserve this?
They make you feel like an Egyptian queen.
I mean, seriously, I was like Cleopatra, like, give me my grace.
You were.
No, it was very magical. It was exhausting. I have a whole new degree of respect because, you know, when the TV that we grew up watching that I admired, they're all like studio shows filmed in front of a live studio audience or whatever. And Mrs. Maisel and everything, like the TV show culture that Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, and all of these streaming services, how they've raised the bar in terms of the production value. Not only is it spectacular because when we watch it, it's spectacular. The amount of work that goes behind, like, again, this was a 5-minute scene. There were no less than 250 extras on set, all of whom had costume, hair, makeup, shoes, flawless at all times for those 8 hours, that less than 5-minute scenes. So it was an experience. It was, I take my hat off to them for sure. It needs the endurance that you need, because hey, I was a featured actor. I was there one day. If you're a series regular, you know that this is going to be your life for those 3 months that you're filming. You're getting up at 4 a.m. because they were there at 4 a.m. with me, and then they're going to sleep at 11 p.m. at night because they were done filming for that day around 8 p.m. And I mean, I follow them on Instagram, so I know that they were like out for dinner at like 11 p.m. So it's
yeah, but that's such a rewarding experience in the sense of, like, you know, you're experiencing something new. It's similar to when you're doing theater and they say, oh, try out every job in the theater so that you understand what everyone's working with.
Right.
You know, do lights, talk to lights, do sound, talk to sound, try building a set with people, try helping with this, because you appreciate the process more. And even when we were at Nova, I took one of the film classes, and they had brought in people who had done film and who were on things like Burn Notice or you know, shows like that, and they would say it. They go, you know, it's not for someone who's not willing to work hard.
Yeah.
And not willing to work with different personalities too, because you've got some actors like the good old boys who have been there since the beginning of their youth, of like their early 20s, and they get on set and it's like boom, 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 they're done. And then they say, you know, can we redo that because I feel like I was off? And you're like, oh my gosh, did Robert De Niro just say he was off?
It's like, okay.
I'm like, all right, I guess if you say so. You were amazing, but if you say so.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's amazing. And you've just been doing so much musically as well. I've been watching a lot of the stuff that you post on Instagram, doing your songs, because you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you.
So how has it been? What?
Oh, no. Go on. Tell me more.
Oh, yeah. The voice of an angel. How has it been doing musicals? Because musicals, I feel, are more difficult to do via, you know, the interwebs space than just doing, you know, the readings and the acting.
Oh, for sure. Because, I mean, you can't, because of the way Zoom works and the small internet lag, that even if it's a second, it's still a second. Yeah. You can't coordinate. You can't just play a track and everybody on the Zoom call will follow. So in order to do musicals, either via Zoom or whatever, you do have to pre-record the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, like, also before let me circle backwards for a second. Also, you have to learn how to sound mix. I mean, that's not, if you're doing a reading, even when you're just speaking in Zoom world, if, I don't know, this is South Florida, the guys are outside like cutting the grass every other day, you know, or like the AC, like all of that affects the sound quality. And when you're singing, that is amplified tenfold. Mics, getting a good mic that can actually record everything from like your lower notes to your crazy, either if you're doing contemporary, your high belt, or like your belt tones, your beautiful classical, whatever, like getting that to sound like good on camera is so freaking hard. And then you have to add on the layer that you actually need a backing track, and like the sound balance between your voice and the track, and it's a whole process. I started off doing, once we got quarantined, I started doing this musical theater Thursdays where I would record myself doing a track. And I started off like just playing the track, and everything would be recorded in the same space live. But then the sound quality wasn't good enough, and then I got a little earpiece so that you could record, you know, just the audio of the singing, and then like layer on the track. I learned, I was like, let's make, people are learning to paint. People are learning to sew. I'm going to learn how to edit audio on like professional audio software. So I did, and that definitely helped. And then when my friends from London decided to do a Candor and Epps and the World Goes Round, where we not only had to, like, that production, the 19 cast members that were a part of that, we had to basically film, produce, star, and edit our own like MTV music videos. Like, we had to record the audio, then the music director would mix our tracks with his playing, like a rehearsal track, so that we could then film in any location that we needed to, while lip syncing, which, oh my freaking God, lip syncing is the hardest thing in the universe. Like, honestly, like, if you can't sing and you've made a career lip syncing to somebody else, like, the, you know, in the 90s where that happened a lot, I'm like, well, you have a talent in and of its own, because it's freaking hard. And I mean, I'm lip syncing to my own singing, which is like, I did that. I should know when it ends and when it stops, and when to close my mouth. And you think that, but no. So it takes forever to film, and then editing it together so that it looks cohesive. And I mean, the production value ends up being very rewarding, especially Lee Thompson, who is the music director, did a magnificent job mixing the voices and the blend, especially with the harmonies and all of that. But it was exhausting. it was such a process. Like, it's like, that's when I stopped doing musical theater Thursdays, because I was like, I can't do this once a week. No,
it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. I mean, before we had been doing one video a day, except for Sundays. So we were producing 6 videos, filming 12 of them on a Saturday, and then putting them out there. And it got to this point where we were like, okay, we're going a little crazy. I think we can hold off. So now it's 3 videos a week, 6 videos filmed on Saturday. And it's just like way easier for my brain function to be like boom, 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 because I felt like I was back in college. That's how it feels. You're learning again, and you're pulling those all-nighters to try and make it look great, and then you're trying to put in your conclusion on your final paper, and you don't know what to do for
it. No, for sure, because we're so used to, I mean, obviously, I'm not diminishing by any means live performance, because it's a magical experience in itself. But we've trained our whole lives to perform live. So for us, it comes so naturally, and we're like, well, I mean, if we're doing an interview, of course we can do 12 interviews a day. Like, I mean, it would take what, an hour, 12 hours in a day, done. But I mean, I don't know, it's just that when we go virtual, it's hard to dismiss or not fully grasp how much time editing and just getting everything, even uploading a video can take forever. So so it is, it's and it's a skill set that we were not necessarily, like, again, we're not an indie film producer, so we needed to crash course that in less than a year. And I do think that, considering that it hasn't been a year since we started doing this, our learning curve has been pretty impressive.
Right. Well, I feel like that's how artists are, though. We're very adaptive. We're problem solvers. You know, you have to be, with all of the material or lack of material that you have, or lack of resources. You know, you have to just be a problem solver and just fix something, and because it's your obsession, it's your passion. You know, you don't want to let it go. So I actually want to ask, what do you think is something that you feel people who are not involved in the arts should know about the arts, or anything that you think should be highlighted about it?
Well, if there's one thing that this past year has taught us, is how invaluable the arts are. Because everyone who self-quarantined, who had to be in lockdown, who had to work from home and find a way to entertain their kids, the way you didn't just stare at the ceiling for 24 hours a day was through consuming and watching and experiencing art. And it is so easy to dismiss, oh, well, they're just doing it because they love it, so like that's not really a job. And not only has art been the most consumed during this last COVID year, but it's also been the one that's been hit the hardest, because it's that field that just, we can't go back to. Like, I think almost every single other profession out there has gone back to some form of normalcy. Whereas maybe, well, locally in our region, only 3 theater companies have taken the bold step of producing something live, and even that was with risk involved. So and it's always an experiment, and it's still like no one has enough funding. So many people are still either on living off of unemployment, or even looking for other careers, which I find that it's so heartbreaking that is happening. And I don't think people outside the arts realize how hard this has hit us. And because it is something that we love, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure an accountant doesn't love doing someone else's taxes as much as we love telling a story and educating an audience and giving them catharsis through our stage work, and being overnight stripped of that. Like, it's unbound.
It was a lot.
It's so much. It is so much that, and the fact that we, even despite that, we've still continued to create, and we've still continued to find a resilient way to put our art out there and tell our stories and make the best of it, and prepare for an even better new normal once we're able to come back. I mean, kudos to us, kudos to our community, and kudos to theater artists and artists in general, because it's been probably one of the toughest years in recent history for at least the performing arts. No,
it's so true, and people have done some extraordinary work during this time that of possibilities that you didn't think were possible. I mean, like we were talking about before, the fact that we can do shows with people who aren't in the same country as us or time zone as us is awesome. And we're able to collaborate with so many new people because we have to. I mean, we have to keep going, because if we don't keep going, then we have nothing to do.
Exactly.
You know?
We are what we do. And it's part of our obsession. I do think if we've made a career out of this, it's because to some point it's not just a passion, it's an obsession. And at least I'm not necessarily able to find myself if I don't have that, which I think is why I started creating my own content once quarantine hit anyway, because I wasn't expecting. I mean, I started doing it not because I wanted, not because I was thinking people were gonna watch it. I started doing it because I needed to do it for myself, and it was so wonderfully received. That was an unexpected benefit and an unexpected layer that I got. But we need to keep going, and I do think we're close. I mean, the finish line is in sight. It's kind of like that. They just keep pushing the line song, where it was March, then it was April, now we're talking August, but it's still in sight.
Right.
And I do think we're gonna come back stronger than ever, because we will have gotten through this.
Yeah, I think so. And I feel like when we do get back to doing in-person things, when everything's cleared up, I feel like it's gonna go smoother. Oddly, I feel like it's gonna be just easier to be like, oh well, we've worked together for over a year anyways, so now we know what we're doing. And oh, do you need help with this? I can help you with this, because I had to learn how to do that. So
exactly.
I feel like it's gonna flow. I want to know, what are you working on now?
Okay, Saturday we closed Compensation at Island City Stage, world premiere, about a surrogate and a gay couple and their complex relationship, which, even though the live, you can't see it live in the theater anymore because that's closed, it's going to be streaming live online until the 28th at islandcitystage.org. So if you guys want to check it out,
it will be.
I'm pointing to comments where that link will be. But anyway, islandcitystage.org. We finished filming for A Dream is a Wish, which is a Disney song cycle that I'm doing with my friends over in London. The West End theater artists that I was mentioning, Lee Thompson, who is a West End music director, Pippa Duffy, who is a West End actor, and Philip Michael Thomas, who is a West End and international choreographer. They and a group of 20 theater artists. It's all about Disney. It's a compilation of Disney songs, and that is, so we finished filming last week. It's in the editing room, it's in the oven, and it's gonna premiere, I believe it's March 7th at 2 p.m. Eastern timing, 7 p.m. England timing. But if you follow me on social media at Gaby Tortoledo, you will always see the posts about it, because I definitely promote the work. I'm also the new spokesperson for Gulfstream Park. So that's a fun thing that's happening. It's gonna be filming for the next 3 months, and we're gonna feature each one of their stores. So it's literally a dream job, because I get to be on, like, I get to be an actor while trying on clothes, or like trying food, or like just shopping for one day a week for the next 3 months. So that's amazing. And I'm gonna be starting, I can't give too many details on the project because it's gonna be formally announced Monday of next week, which is March 1st, a new project with Theater Lab, which is gonna be a pretty huge, and it's definitely so close to my heart project. So keep an eye out for that, because that's gonna be a beautiful project coming soon in April.
Nice. Yes, everything that Gaby has just said will be linked down below.
Okay.
So yes, everything will be linked down below so you can keep up with Gaby's journey. Please, please, please keep up with her journey because she does so many amazing and interesting things. And I want to thank you guys for sticking with us until the end of the video. I thank you so much, Gaby, for joining us. This was an amazing interview.
Thank you so much. No, this has been so much fun, and I love that we're able to collaborate. Again, thank you. No, thank you, COVID, but thank you, COVID, for providing these opportunities. And I certainly look forward to continuing to collaborate after we are back on the live stage. And I can't wait to go see a live improv show and be amazed by your quick thinking and no shame.
No shame at all. So if you guys would like to watch any more of our Talk About It Tuesdays, you can like and subscribe. Please share because sharing is caring, and eat some tacos, my friends. If you are interested in the mysteries of Florida, we do have a podcast called This is Legends of Yesterday, where we talk about the histories, mysteries, and ghost stories of South Florida. So you can go listen to that on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, which will also be linked down below. Thank you so much, you beautiful creatures, and thank you so much again to Gaby.
I hope you have an amazing
Thank you guys. Yes, goodbye.
Bye.